Hey everyone, back again for another deep dive. And this time, we're going to be looking at Dahara and Ken,
Oh, yeah.
that YouTube couple.
Yeah.
And you guys sent over some sources that really caught my eye. And at first glance, they really seem kind of different.
Hmm.
On the one hand, we have the breakdown of Dahara's lawsuit against Ken.
Right.
And then on the other hand, we have her Snapchat video where she's, reflecting on the past year.
Yeah. Interesting combination.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to figure out, are these two things, are they totally separate?
Yeah.
Or is there like a connection that we're not seeing? So
Right.
let's just dive right in with the lawsuit.
Okay.
Dahara's basically saying that Ken was, doing some shady stuff with their money.
Uh-huh.
She's claiming that he took money from their joint bank account.
Okay.
And he also kept a $40,000 refund from a car loan that they both had.
Wow.
Yeah, and apparently they had some kind of agreement about splitting it.
So already we're seeing these financial arrangements are going to be really important to understand
Absolutely.
to really get to the bottom of this.
Right. And of course, Ken's got a different story.
Hmm?
He put out a video response,
Right.
and he's saying they agreed that Dahara would keep the car and they'd be even on the loan.
Okay.
But then he gets really specific, and he mentions, text messages and a phone call from December 12th, 2022, about the bank account.
Interesting.
It's almost like he's, building his defense.
It does seem that way. Like he's trying to get ahead of things
Right.
by putting that information out there.
Exactly. But then, it brings up all these questions.
Like what?
Like, okay, if they had this agreement, where's the proof? And where did that $40,000 refund go?
Right. Right.
Plus, Ken didn't say anything about taking money from the joint account or anything about his taxes.
Yeah, that's kind of strange.
It's weird, right?
It's definitely a big omission. Not really addressing those points directly.
Okay, now let's look at Dahara's Snapchat video. It's all about her personal reflections on 2024, dealing with loss, being strong.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't seem related to the lawsuit at all at first.
Yeah, at first glance, it seems totally separate.
Right. But, sometimes those personal stories can give us some clues.
Totally. Like, they offer a window into someone's mindset
Exactly.
during a particular time.
So in the video, Dahara talks about losing her aunt and her grandmother in 2024,
Oh, wow.
which is, a lot to deal with emotionally.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then she keeps talking about how important family is to her
Interesting.
and how she had a really blessed upbringing, So it's like she's highlighting these values.
It almost seems like she's contrasting that
Yeah,
with what's going on in the lawsuit.
right. And it makes those accusations about the money seem even more,
Out of character.
out of character. Yeah,
Yeah, it makes you wonder what was really going on in their relationship.
exactly. And she also talks about achieving all these big goals professionally, despite the personal stuff.
So, launching her own brand, that trip, the coffee table book,
Yeah,
that's really impressive,
it is.
especially considering everything else that was happening.
And, it makes you think, could that success have changed things between them?
Yeah, for sure. Especially when it comes to money and, who's bringing what to the table.
Yeah, it seems like there's so much more to unpack here. We've only just scratched the surface.
Absolutely.
And, in the next part, we're going to dig deeper into their finances and what might have gone wrong between them.
Can't wait.
It's interesting. She doesn't actually mention Ken at all in the Snapchat video or the lawsuit.
That's true. Yeah, it's all about her, her journey and stuff.
Yeah, so do you think, like, maybe she's trying to say something indirectly?
Oh, possibly.
Yeah. Through this whole emotional video?
I think she's really highlighting her strength
Hmm.
and her focus on family, especially while dealing with all this,
Yeah,
the loss and this whole mess with Ken.
yeah. It's a powerful message, for sure.
Definitely.
But let's get back to the lawsuit for a sec.
Okay.
It really comes down to, like, these two main money issues, right?
Yeah, the joint bank account and that car loan refund.
Right.
Those are the big ones where
Yeah.
their stories are like totally different.
So first, Dahara's saying Ken took money from their joint account,
Right.
which is a pretty serious accusation.
It is, yeah. But proving theft from a joint account,
Mm-hmm.
that can get tricky.
How so?
Well, they both have access to the money, right?
Right.
So it all comes down to like, what was their understanding
Okay.
of how that account was supposed to work?
So that's where those text messages that Ken was talking about
Exactly.
could be important.
Yeah, those could show like what they actually agreed on.
Okay, and then there's the car loan refund.
Right.
Dahara's saying they were going to split the $40,000,
Yeah.
but he kept it all.
Right. And he's claiming they had a deal, right?
Yeah, that she'd keep the car and they'd be even.
But even if that's true,
Yeah.
she kept the car and still ended up owing money.
Exactly. Something's not adding up.
Yeah. There's a big inconsistency there.
And Ken kind of skipped over that whole part in his video.
He did.
Like, what happened to the 40,000? Why do you think he didn't mention it?
It's hard to say,
Hmm.
Maybe he's saving it for the lawyers,
Okay.
or maybe he just doesn't have a good explanation.
And he didn't say anything about the taxes he owes either.
Yeah, that was in the lawsuit, and he didn't address it at all.
Right.
That's a pretty big deal, I think.
Do you think it's like a key part of the whole thing?
It could be, yeah.
This is so messy. It feels like there are pieces missing.
It is complicated for
We've got missing money, totally different stories.
Right.
And then the whole tax thing on top of it all.
It's hard to know what really went down,
Yeah,
but you have to remember money stuff can get really personal.
that's true.
It's not just about the numbers.
So you're bringing us back to the Snapchat video.
Yeah, exactly.
It gives us a glimpse into like,
Her state of mind.
yeah, her priorities during this time.
It's a way of framing things, right?
Okay.
Showing herself in a certain light.
It makes you wonder, how losing her aunt and grandmother
Mm-hmm.
might have affected how she sees all this.
Grief and loss are powerful things.
Yeah.
They can definitely change how we see things.
And then, have this money fight on top of it.
Yeah, that must have been really rough.
Don't forget about her success too, right?
Oh, right. Launching her brand and everything.
Yeah, she was killing it in 2024.
That can change things in a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly she's got more independence.
Right.
Maybe she felt like she could speak up more
That's a good point.
about what she expected financially.
It's crazy how those things can shift the whole dynamic.
Yeah. And money can cause so much tension anyway,
Totally.
especially when there's already other stuff going on.
And it's all happening so publicly, too.
Oh, for sure. That adds a whole other level of crazy.
Okay, so we've talked about like the emotional side of things, like,
Right.
all these different stories about the money. But this is an actual lawsuit.
Right.
Things are going to get serious legally.
Yeah. Yeah. This isn't just like arguing anymore.
Yeah.
This is the real deal.
So what does that even look like? Like, what happens next with this kind of lawsuit?
Well, Diarra's lawyers, they're probably going to focus on this idea of breach of contract,
Okay.
meaning, Ken didn't stick to their agreements about money.
Right, right.
They'll have to show proof,
Okay.
like bank statements, that kind of thing.
And what about those text messages Ken keeps bringing up?
Those could be really important.
Yeah.
It all depends what they actually say.
It's like we're waiting for a big reveal.
Yeah. It is kind of like a legal thriller.
Totally.
Yeah.
So if they do show something,
Mm-hmm.
will that like make or break the case?
They could, yeah.
What about Diarra's claim that he took money from the joint account?
Right.
What does she have to prove for that?
That's tricky with a joint account, remember.
Yeah.
They both could access the money.
Mm.
Her lawyers have to show that Ken, went beyond what they agreed on.
Okay, so like he took more than his fair share or something.
Exactly. Or that he broke the rules of the account somehow.
Got it. So what about Ken?
Yeah.
How can his lawyers fight this?
Well, they might say those agreements weren't real
Okay.
or that they weren't clear enough.
Interesting. So they're going to try to poke holes in her story
Basically, yeah.
and maybe use those text messages to do it.
Yeah. If those messages show that, Ken was keeping Diarra in the loop
Okay.
about the money, then her case gets weaker.
Right. So let's say she does win.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to Ken?
He could have to pay back the money,
Okay.
maybe even more with
Yeah.
interest and stuff.
Wow.
It all depends on the judge and, the
Right.
details.
Right.
But this is important. This isn't a criminal case.
Okay.
No jail time here. It's all about money.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into this.
Complicated.
It is. But what about Diarra's Snapchat video?
Ah, interesting question.
Do you think, could that affect the lawsuit at all?
It's probably not hard evidence,
Okay.
but it does, it makes Diarra more human,
Yeah.
shows how strong she is.
It's like she's saying, hey, this isn't just about the money.
Yeah, there's more to it.
It's about trust and family.
Right. That stuff matters too.
So what do you think will happen based on everything we've talked about?
Honestly, it's really tough to say.
Yeah.
Both sides have some good points, and we don't know all the evidence yet.
True. It's a real cliffhanger. But you know what? I think there's a bigger lesson here for everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to talk about money.
Yeah, communication is key.
And be really clear about who's responsible for what.
Yeah, you can't just assume everything's cool.
Right. Like Diarra and Ken, they thought they were good.
Right. And look what happened.
And this is for everyone, not just couples.
Oh, yeah, businesses, families.
Anyone who shares money, really.
It's so important to be on the same page.
All right, everyone. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive.
Wow. That was a lot.
It was. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We hope you learned something today and maybe even got inspired to,
Have some of those tough conversations.
yeah, about money.
It's worth it in the long run.
Absolutely.